Hi, Coach. Thanks for joining us, and please go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Thank you. Really pleased with our team. This is a very important game for the University of North Carolina. Started in 1904, I think, and 48 years you've been playing for the Victory Bell, and it's really important to keep it for your fans and your fan base. And I applaud our players and our coaches for understanding how important this game is and playing so hard. And credit Duke. They got behind early, and they kept playing hard, and David's guys aren't going to quit. That's just part of it. So really pleased with the offense. We weren't as good in the third quarters. We were the first two. We had the one interception that hurt us, but they were 5 for 5 when it mattered in the red zone for touchdowns. They were rushed for 338 yards on 47 carries, made 4 fourth down situations that were really important in the first half. Defensively, I thought we played a lot better. We forced some turnovers. We stopped the run other than some big runs. The 2 or 3 runs we just can't have. They're unacceptable. But by and large, we played much better on defense, except for the giving up the big runs. I thought the secondary without Kyler McMichael and without Don Chapman played really well. They hung in there. So, but too many penalties for sure. We had 2 hands to the face, which we haven't had. And then we have a 2 roughing the quarterbacks, and I didn't see Tamon's. The one on Ray was a hit down around his knees, and that's called roughing the quarterback now, differently than it used to be. So those are things that we can correct, but we had 2 really long third down situations that we allowed them to come back and make because of penalties. So we got to clean up the penalties. We can still tackle a little bit better. But we had some fourth down stops, and I thought, we got to play a lot of people, and that was, other than winning the game, probably the most important thing. A lot of the third quarter and all of the fourth quarter, we're playing a lot of people that haven't played very much, and that should really help us down the road.
All right, thanks, Coach, for getting us going here. If you have a question, please use the raise hand function. Our first question today will come from Deanna King.
Hey, Coach, congrats on the win. With Javonte and Michael being so good at the running game, how much more important is it getting them involved in the passing game? They were huge today.
Yeah, Deanna, it's really important. They're such good players, all-round players. Michael caught 2 or 3 balls on fourth down in the flat that led to touchdowns. And Michael. But both of them can pass protect. I was proud that as good as the pass rush is at Duke, I think we only had 1 sack today, and I think we had 5. We gained 5. But those 2 guys can run. They have patience. They can run with power. They can protect. They're really good route runners, and they can both catch the ball well. So they're the all-around player.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next question comes from Andrew Jones.
Hey, Coach, in the last 4 games, you guys have followed up 2 disappointing losses with really positive performances and wins over rivals. What do you attribute that to?
You can't let a loss beat you twice. We have to go back to work. And it's really important, as hard as losses are on all of us, that we figure out what we need to fix, we correct it, and we go right back to work to make sure that we don't have that bad feeling again the next week. So you can't ever let one loss beat you twice. And a lot of people do, because they just let the negatives be out there so much that it beats you down another week. So I applaud the staff and these players, as negative as things can get in their lives outside of football, and with the distractions of the election this week and changing schedule. They really did a tremendous job of preparing to play and playing well today.
How important is being able to do that to the culture of the program, and how challenging is it for you to instill that into the culture of the program?
Well, Andrew, it's really important. It's one of the most important things, is that you end up playing really hard every week. And I challenged them even at halftime. We were down 31-7 at Florida State and came back and had a chance to win. So I said, if you stand around now, Duke can get back in the ball game. So are we emotionally at a point where we can play a full game and not have the ups and downs? And we did that much better today than we've been doing. So hopefully we're making some progress of playing hard the entire game, and hopefully we'll, after a win that they'll be bragged on this week, they can go ahead and prepare themselves to play well next week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks. We need to learn from a win as well as we have a loss, and not take it for granted, because there's still that 7 to 9 plays today that we need to fix. It's just by winning the game, they won't be talked about very much except by us. And as coaches, we can really be hard on the players this week to make sure we fix those mistakes.
All right, let's go to Brian Keys.
Hey, Mac. You sort of just touched on it, but I wanted to ask, what do you need to do exactly to make sure that the team is prepared against teams that you're favored for? You talked about being sort of not unprepared, but, you know, getting socked in the mouth a little bit against Florida State and then Virginia. And so how do you fix that so that that doesn't happen for the rest of the season?
Well, Brian, we were a favorite over Syracuse. We were a favorite over Boston College. So I don't think that's it. I think that Florida State's very talented, and we allowed them to get excited and get some confidence, and they haven't had that. And then Virginia's a good football team when they've got their quarterback. He's a very good player. So you go back and look at the 2 games we lost. People thought they were awful losses. Well, all of them are. But number one, those teams were much better than their record. And I still think Florida State wakes up at some point because they're talented and they've changed quarterbacks, and he played really well against us. But Virginia can beat anybody. You saw them play Miami down to the wire on the road with the first game back for the quarterback. So I knew going into the Virginia game and Florida State games, they would be very difficult games.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our next question will come from Ross Martin.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned playing a lot of young players, probably the most you played all season. Any couple guys that stood out and that you really jumped off the field from you, the young players on defense or offense?
I would think, Ross, the defensive guys that jumped out just sitting here without – I saw it like you all saw it, and you had a better view than I did, really. They run yours back. I don't get mine run back. But Miles Murphy penetrated 2 or 3 different times, and I know he had 1 sack and maybe 2. I saw Kamen Rucker just run over somebody once and force the guy back into the quarterback for a sack. I saw Desmond Evans get a sack. I thought I saw Jaquarius Conley making some plays in space that were physical plays. I think those probably jumped out more than anybody else. I know some point in the 3rd quarter we took out Gimmel and Surratt and put in both the young linebackers and let them play the rest of the game. On offense, I think Chaffrey shows signs of stepping up, and really, really proud of Emory Simmons. He didn't play much. He never griped what he did. He found a spot on 4 different special teams where that gave him an opportunity to play. And then when he gets his chance, he gets better every week. And with Bo out, that's really helped us. So we're starting to get to a point. Our entire starting secondary against Syracuse did not play today. Miles Wolfick's gone, Storm Duck's out, Kyler McMichael's out, and Don Chapman's out. So we played Duke with limited secondary guys last year, but we're getting to a point that the guys we put in when other guys are hurt have the ability to play and win the game, and we haven't been able to do that yet. So hopefully we'll just continue to grow in that area.
And then quickly, I think a lot of people would have thought you had taken Sam out earlier than you did. Was there a reason to kind of keep him in as long as you would? I know a lot of armchair quarterbacks, coaches out there that wanted you to take him out earlier.
Yeah, we felt I usually keep them in through the 3rd quarter and then play the 4th quarter. None of those armchair quarterbacks have had somebody come back out on them and score and beat them, and they'd be the first ones to say, they got arrogant. They took them out too soon. So we usually keep them in till the 4th quarter. Regardless of the score. And we also didn't play very well in the 3rd quarter offensively. And I wanted us to get a drive.
Great. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Let's go over to Gregory Hall.
Mac, how has Javonte Williams improved since week 1 of this season?
Gregory, he's probably improved as much as anybody I've seen since the first spring we were here. You know, he was a short yardage and goal line guy, and we didn't know how good he was, really. And then in spring, he really looked good, and we knew he and Michael were good, and we had 2 good ones because when I got here, I asked Bubba, is number 8 still here? Because he was the guy. And that's as a TV person, I knew number 8 was really good and really fast, and he made a lot of plays against good teams. And Bubba said yes. But the combination of those 2 has just been really, really powerful for us. So we're really excited. He does everything right. He runs with power. Daryl Moody and I were talking about the other day. He's got some natron means in him. He runs with low pads. He's got really thick thighs. But he's very unselfish. He protects the ball. He can pass protect. He can run pass routes, and he can catch. And he's as good as anybody in the country at breaking tackles. So I do think we may have the best combination of running backs in the country.
Is there anything specific to this season, though, that maybe he needed to get better at and has gotten better at specifically to this season?
Yes, you go back to last year's Duke game. He fumbled. We're first and goal from the 3. There's 3 minutes left to go. We're going to win by 10 probably. And he reaches the ball out for the goal line because he wants to win so badly. I don't think I've ever seen a kid that crushed coming off the field. And our whole team thought we might lose because they'd lost games like that. So right now he's learned how to really protect the ball. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, last one for Coach will come from Greg Barnes.
Hey, Mac, I asked this knowing that you have not watched the film yet, but we talked a lot this week about Duke's defensive front and their ability to put pressure on quarterbacks. Looks like Sam was kept clean pretty much most of the day. Kind of what was the game plan coming in with the offensive line and what was so successful today?
I think the biggest thing, Greg, is the number one, the emphasis. A lot of times when people see a record that's not as good like Duke's record, our players might not understand how good some of these players are. So our coaches did a tremendous job of showing breakdowns of these guys getting their 7.5 sacks each side and how good they are. And we went over it and over it and over it and really challenged our offensive line. Secondly, we kept the tight end in some, and Garrett Walston really helped us. That's why he wasn't involved as much today, but that was a factor. And then in some cases, we would chip with the running backs. But I'm really proud of the offensive line to even give up the number of sacks we did last week. And as good as this bunch is at what they do, I thought our guys protected really well. It was also interesting, too, that we started the game throwing the ball and then came back and ran the ball, where normally we've been running it and then start throwing it. So I applaud Phil Longo for coming out and saying, okay, they're stacking the box. Those guys are really tough in there. Let's spread them out, and let's make sure they understand we are going to throw it. We're not just going to run the ball. And then we were able to have a great mixture throughout the day.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Coach. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll see you guys on Monday.